The new coalition government in Victoria will be sworn in over the next few days, and Premier-elect Ted Baillieu has already set out his 100-day agenda. Law and order reforms are on the top of the list, and his government will throw open the books on contracts for the disastrous new public transport ticketing system and Victoria's controversial desalination plant. But the new regime in Victoria is likely to spell trouble for the Gillard government. Ted Baillieu is being urged not to sign the federal government's hospital agreement, and any support for the national broadband network could come with conditions. Political editor Heather Hewitt reports.
There's no more obvious sign of an outgoing government than this. The shredders were working overtime at Victorian ministerial offices this morning as John Brumby's team cleared out the desks to make way for the new Premier, Ted Baillieu, who swiftly called a news conference to stamp his mark.
We thank the people of Victoria for the trust they have placed in us, and we are humbled by their support. I want to say right up front, we will not let them down.
After 11 years in the political wilderness, the Liberal and National parties were back in town.
I intend to reward the trust of those families with humility and honesty. Under a Baillieu government, what you see is what you will get. There will be no hidden agendas, there will be no spin, there will be no secrecy. Accountability and transparency will be the principles that underpin our government. And the government that we lead will be driven by integrity and govern with dignity and decency.
That even extended to a glowing tribute to the man he defeated by the slimmest of margins.
I spoke to John Brumby at length last night. John has served this state at the highest levels of public office for 11 years, and his is a remarkable legacy. I respect his contribution, and I will honour his contribution.
Maybe that's because the two of them go back a long way, from secondary school days at the exclusive Melbourne Grammar.
John and I have actually known each other for nearly 45 years, and there's probably a degree of embarrassment attached to some of those very early photographs, some of which have found their way into prominence of recent days. John and I had cause to reflect last night on the intersections our lives have taken, the twists, the turns, and indeed the symmetry of our political careers, albeit on opposite sides. We've both faced two elections as leader. We nearly came out square in the second.
Ted Baillieu likes long-distance swimming. Indeed, he swims every day, even on his first morning as Premier-elect. There are those in his own party who thought he didn't have it in him to last the distance in politics, but he says his confidence never left him.
I believe this was possible. I'm a stayer. I stay the course. I think I've said to a few on occasions, I'm an egg hatcher, not a chicken counter.
Ted is someone that people can underestimate because he's not showy or out there in a way, but he's very reflective, very sincere, has very strong values. I think he's going to be an exceptionally strong Premier.
His mentors include former Premier Jeff Kennett and former federal Liberal member for Kooyong, Petro Georgiou, an outspoken critic of John Howard's asylum seeker policies. Ted Baillieu is regarded by his friends as a progressive and not in the same mould as federal opposition leader Tony Abbott.
I think that's very important in Victoria because Victoria as a state is more progressive overall. And Ted, frankly, is the outstanding Liberal, small L Liberal, in politics today. And I think that's a very important credential. He won't change that.
Ted Baillieu hails from one of Melbourne's oldest and best-known blue blood families. Those who know him well claim he'll fiercely defend the state where he was born and bred. And that could mean a few arguments ahead with Julia Gillard over issues like the federal health reform deal negotiated with the state several months ago.
My predecessor went to Canberra with an ambition at one level and came back with just 20% of that ambition. We want to know what's in the deal for Victoria, There'll obviously be some issues around federal-state relations. There are issues about the completion of the BER project. We have an interest in particular in the rollout of funding for the BER projects and how that was managed.
Do you think he'll be willing to pick a fight with Julia Gillard?
If necessary, yes. I mean, he doesn't pick fights unnecessarily. I mean, he's had a long period where even internally there have been people who have been less than supportive of him. He's not gone about picking a fight with them publicly at all. It's not the way he operates.
How he and his team do operate is of course yet to unfold. They won't be sworn in until the end of the week, but already he's pledged there'll be no sudden radical changes.